Hello guys, I'm Super Ron, welcome back to the channel, and we're here at Autoshack for another awesome episode. And as you can see, the variety of cars has changed once again. We've got this Series 1 Land Rover in for some electrical problems. We've got this Mk4 Escort in, which is a super sleeper. We're doing an engine conversion on this. And then we've got the BMW M2 we're putting. So this is my first day back. Lee's been super busy this week, cracking on with all the projects we've got on. So we've got this Mk4 Escort 5-door, badged up as a 1.4 GL, full grandad spec, complete with missing wheel trim. And Lee's just put in a 1.6 CVH on carbs. It's got a cam and a few other bits and pieces inside. It's already been on the dyno and made some good power. So we're just waiting on a fuel regulator for this and we'll be ready to start up. And it's going to be an awesome little sleeper. And Lee's also been cracking on with the carbon fibre front end on the M2. And we've got this all wrapped up now. The guy's going to be wrapping the whole car, but he's leaving the carbon fibre exposed. But the finish and fit is absolutely amazing. It fits just like a factory panel, but it does look amazing. It's got its new wheels on, genuine BMW wheels have just come in, brand new Michelin tyres, and they just set the car off. So this one just needs a clean up and it's ready to go back to the customer. So my job today is this Series 1 Land Rover. It's had a little bit of an electrical fire, so I've done a bit of a research into it, and there's not really many wires in here, but the big problem is there's no fuses. So any fault you might have, the first thing to melt is going to be the wires. But luckily, on this car, there's not really a lot to it. It's got headlights, a coil and a fuel pump, and that is about it. So it shouldn't be too hard to trace. Since turning the headlights on and going from dip to main, the ignition switch smoked up, and now the ignition switch doesn't work. But when I bridged the ignition circuit, we managed to get it to fire up and drive in, so there's no pushing here, and we didn't need the quad bike. But first of all, I need to investigate what went wrong. So there's really not many wires to this. This is pretty much the whole loom and controls of the car. You've got the gauges, the ignition, and other bits and pieces. But this is the power to the dip main switch, and this has melted right off. So that one goes down, and it's got a floor mounted dip main switch. So you hit that with your foot, and that's what gets you from dip beam to main beam. And I've got my suspicions that it's this that has arced out. So I'm going to do a little test on it. Because of what happened, I think that when you click on the switch, it earths it to ground, and because there's no fuses, it just melts the weakest link, which in this instance seems to be the ignition switch. So let's have a look at this. When there's a dead short to ground and the two connect, we get a beep. So this is the input to the switch. This is what connects to the ignition switch. And if we go to ground, this shouldn't be connected, but it is. So the power's coming through the ignition switch, down the wire to here, and it should come out of here and go to either the dip beam or the main beam, but it's going straight to earth, and it's even melted this terminal here. So I think the culprit is this switch here, and it's taken out the ignition switch on its route. So I've been doing a nice lot of testing, checking everything out, checking all the wires, and the culprit was definitely this dip beam, main beam switch that sits on the floor. It doesn't look that old, possibly a reproduction, but the feed is going straight to earth. So that's tracked up to the ignition switch, burnt out the ignition switch, and unfortunately, because this has got an external voltage regulator, because it's on a dynamo, it has burnt out the regulator. It's just a dead short, and because there's no fuse in the main circuit, it's burnt it all out. But now we've found the cause, so we can replace the switch and then happily replace the regulator, knowing that it's not going to happen again. Because the biggest challenge is finding out where the fault actually originated from, because there's no point changing switches and putting new regulators on if you don't know what the fault is, and then it just burns another switch out. But I'm happy to say we've found the fault, so we can put it back together with some new parts. So we just got to wait for a new light switch to come in on the Land Rover now. We're waiting for a fuel pressure regulator to come in for the Escort. The BMW is now all done. The carbon front end is complete. And it looks super mean. It's got an M2 competition front bumper on the front as well. So that one's ready to go. So I've just got one more little job to do on the Triumph Spitfire. You saw in a previous episode, I fitted new front calipers because all the seals had gone hard on the old ones. Even though they were brand new, they've been sitting there empty for so long, all the seals perished. So now the new calipers are on and we're all bled up. But a problem we found, we tried putting the wheels on and the wheel studs were too short for these deep offset wheels. So we've had to get some new wheel studs. Lee's already got the rears on, so you can see they're sticking out nicely. But on the originals, there was only a couple of threads and the rest of the nut was just empty. The rears were nice and easy because they're drums, so they just bashed out and went in. But the fronts on these older cars, you have to take the hub off to get the disc off to get the stud out. So that's going to be my next job. Then maybe we can put some fuel in and try and start it up. Fluids all checked, carb bowls are full, oil's okay in the carbs, fresh fuel in the back, jump packs on. Let's give it a go. Not a good start so far. Right, let's check if it's got a spark. Yeah, got a spark. Let's just give it a little bit of help. We've got spark, so it should fire up. Let's give it a go. Whoa! You hear that? Hey! Just noticed there's a starter motor bolt not bolted up. I think I'll do that next. Starter motor done back up. Right. Again. It is alive. First time in many, many years. A bit of smoke from the exhaust coating coming off. Apart from that, no leaks. So now we're here for a cool little transition. M2. M5. Had it running for a little bit now, all up to temperature. All the gauges work. Still a bit rough, but the carbs need setting up. I think this has been a great success. All in all, fired straight up. With a little help. Well, I must admit that went much better than expected. I was a bit reserved whether it's going to start up at all. With all the other problems we've had around the car with perished rubbers and bushes and pipes, I thought we were going to be leaking out everywhere, and that's if we even started up at all. I had no idea what condition the carbs were, even if they were in the right benchmark of being able to start. But sure enough, started up, and I've run it right up to temperature. We've got no leaks. The coolant system has all pressurised up and run up to temperature, and the fan kicks in and out, and we've got no oil leaks, no water leaks, so I think we're doing very, very well. We've got all the wheel studs on, all 4 wheels now, so I'm much happier that the wheels are going to actually stay on the car. So with 1 or 2 more finishing touches, I think we're ready to send it off to the rolling road to get the carb set up correctly, and if they need to play the ignition timing or anything else, because we've got no idea where anything is set at the moment, so they'll sync it all up together and then it'll be ready to go back to the customer. I was really hoping to get the finishing touches done on the Mk4 Escort. The only thing we're waiting for is that fuel pressure regulator, but Parcel Force seem to have dropped the ball a bit this week, and it's been travelling up and down the country all week from depot to depot, and it's not made its way to us yet. So that's put a right downer on that. I thought we could have 2 classics firing up this episode, but we did get the Land Rover all finished, a new dip switch on the floor, and all the wiring problems were solved. It's just unfortunate that with that short on the floor, it took out the voltage regulator in the process. So it just goes to show how big a part all those fuses in modern cars actually do. If there is a fault, it will just isolate it and blow the fuse in that one point, instead of tracking through the whole system of the car. But that's all done, going back to the customer. This one's nearly finished. The Carbon M2 is all finished. So as you've seen, I've just pulled in the next job, an E28 M5, so that's going to be a very exciting job to do. I'll wrap this episode up here for today. Make sure you subscribe, because there is always something new at Autoshack. I'll put the link down in the description to our Facebook page as well, because we upload all our progress and all our projects on there also. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like. But until next time, make sure you have fun.